Welcome to this next module, all focused on the mindful eating side of things. So again, another non-calorie counting method, if that's what you prefer. And we're going to be going into a few different topics today and seeing if this is going to be a really good fit for you. So we're going to take a look at the problem itself and the problems that are associated on the psychological and physiological side of things, how mindful eating can be used as a solution to those challenges, and then taking a look at a bit of an overview of the pros and cons, again, just to see if it's going to be a really good fit for you. So to begin with, every single one of us has many, many distractions, almost all day, every day, and this can cause problems. So whether it's our phone, whether it's watching the TV, whether it's scrolling on a tablet, it could be whilst you're at work and you've got, meetings and phone calls and many, many other commitments as well. Now, what happens when we mix this with nutrition, we've got some challenges, because when you're distracted and you're consuming your food, whether it's your breakfast, your lunch, your evening meal, you can often miss different signals like satiety, so that feeling of fullness. And also as it's approaching, so let's say you're feeling 80% full, 90% full. If you're sat watching TV or scrolling through your phone or doing anything else, we can quite easily miss those signals. And when we miss those signals, this has a knock-on effect to our results as well, especially on the weight loss front. So it can lead to overconsumption. And if we do this all the time, which, like we mentioned earlier on, we're generally distracted the vast majority of the time, this can cause weight gain over a period of time as well. So what we need to do is make sure that we're really focusing on our nutrition when it's happening. So whether it's breakfast, whether it's your lunch, whether you're at work, whether it's your evening meal, whether you're eating out, we really need to try and make sure that our full attention is paid to that particular meal. We also need to just make sure we're taking our time. So it does take a little bit of time for those signals to be registered. So as you're consuming your meal and you're gradually getting more and more full, it just takes that little bit of time for it to be registered. So we do just need to be making sure that we're pacing ourselves a little bit and not eating super quick. It just gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to notice that level of satiety that you're experiencing. So when you get to 80, 90% full, you can sort of think to yourself, do you know what? I'm going to have a few more forkfuls and that's me. I'm more than happy with that. If you're distracted, you're not going to notice those signals, and you might have, let's say, 120% of the food that you really needed in that particular meal, because you've not noticed those feelings of fullness effectively because of the distractions. It's just led to that overconsumption. So we do just need to make sure as much as we physically possibly can. Look, I totally understand it's not going to be absolutely perfect every time. How can you remove the distractions of, say, background noise when you're having your lunch at work, for example? You can't really just go around and tell everybody to be quiet, of course. So what we're trying to say here is, just to the best of your ability, just make sure that you remove as many distractions as possible. So this is a really, really simple strategy to follow. Anybody can use it, and also it can be used in conjunction with any other strategy as well. So it's a little bit of a unique one, this one. So even if you're doing something like intermittent fasting or tracking your calories or doing low carb or low fat, you can still incorporate mindful eating side by side in conjunction with any other strategy. So it's actually really, really useful as like an additional layer of benefits. And we know that it's an effective strategy as well. However, the sort of drawbacks really is, if you're using this alone, isolated, you're not really going to know the exact amounts that you're consuming. So even if you're listening to your body and recognizing when you're approaching that feeling of fullness, even when you're doing that, we still don't really know how many calories that you're consuming. What are the total amounts? And also, like we alluded to earlier on, sometimes it's a bit difficult to remove those distractions. So like we said before, with every strategy, there's benefits, there's drawbacks, and this one I really do feel as though everybody could be can benefit from using this. So let's say, for example, if you are tracking your intakes, if you track your intakes when it comes to lunchtime, evening meal, breakfast, snacks, you can still be using mindful eating. So now we can remove one of those drawbacks of not knowing the exact amounts that you're consuming. That's solved now because you're tracking your intakes, and also simultaneously you can be benefiting from the pros of mindful eating as well. So hopefully this makes mindful eating that little bit more clear. It really isn't complicated. It genuinely is just as simple as paying attention to what you're consuming and making sure that you remove as many distractions as you can, and noticing that feeling of fullness as it's approaching, so that before you're sort of 10 out of 10 on the fullness scale, you think to yourself, I'm only going to have a little bit more, and I'm fine with that. We don't need to finish off that whole huge bowl of pasta, for example, because we're distracted watching the TV or distracted by something else. Looking forward to the next module, and hopefully this benefits you.